We have been meeting with many political, military, healthcare professionals, education administrators, and community members. One of the overarching themes to emerge is the method the United Nations and the international community has provided in its intervention when oppressive regimes begin killing their ethnic minorities and seek to occupy their land to steal its precious resources such as rubies, precious metals, timber, and waterways for hydropower profits. As the displaced people are fleeing for their lives, refugee camps are created to house and protect the people and to keep them from entering their neighboring country. If these camps were truly temporary, it could serve as a short-term solution until their land is stable enough for their return. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. The camps have existed in some cases for decades, so long that many in their 20s have never seen the world outside of their camps, as they were born inside the refugee camp. Consider that the refugees are not free to leave, so they are imprisoned. Later, to better manage the refugee camp populations, the international efforts began resettling efforts, scattering the refugees all over the world, in many cases separating family members. What they have actually done is helped the oppressive regime get rid of the very people they were oppressing. The regime's mission was accomplished without having to even lift a single finger, as the international community did all of the dirty work to get rid of the people that were oppressed. The camps offer no autonomy for its refugees. In one such camp we visited, the population was over 50,000+ refugees. The refugees have spent those decades locked up in these camps. They are not free to leave. They have become political prisoners while their country collapses from the removal of their most precious assets, the people that were oppressed. This happened in Karen State, oppressed by the communist Burmese army, and now we see this occurring in Syria. On the surface, it may seem to be well-intentioned. However, removing those from their land is despicable, and families are displaced, often in separate locations, or with some families sent to other countries, while other family members must remain behind in the camps. Some have taken advantage of the education and returned to their land to help their country. However, most simply cannot afford the flight to return back home. This also results in some tension with the original country by those left behind that feel that they have been forgotten or abandoned by their fellow countrymen that have escaped the violence as refugees. What should have happened is strong, consistent sanctions against the oppressive leaders that seek to drive ethnic minorities out of their land. In addition, improvements could have been made to the country, such as education, healthcare, at a fraction of the cost of actually relocating tens of thousands of refugees around the world. It was very unfortunate when the United States recently lifted the sanctions against communist Burma, basically rewarding them for their dirty deeds, all the while they continue in their ruse to have peace talks while secretly stirring up trouble, providing an excuse to invade even more lands. Some have hope that the new administration will be able to stand up to these oppressive regimes instead of helping them get rid of the unwanted people, therefore rewarding their oppressors and their tactics. This is not sustainable and a very misguided response to these horrific situations. What can you do, you might ask? Contact your representative and ask them to stop the policy of relocating ethnic minorities and instead hold the oppressive regimes accountable through strong and aggressive and consistent economic sanctions, instead of forcing the breakup of families and communities to be scattered all over the world. To meet with those trying to keep what is left of their land together despite the efforts of the international community is not only sad, but a crime in and of itself. Silence is acceptance, and for evil to prevail, just remain silent. What we are witnessing in Syria is similar to what happened with the Karen people. Rise up and stand up for those enduring such hardships by no fault of their own.